Good day, Zimbabwe. Welcome to Zimwaves TV, where we cut through political nonsense like a hot knife through butter, while our leaders continue feeding us a steady diet of stale promises. If there's one thing we know how to do, it's deliver truth with a sting. And today we have a particularly juicy sting for Mr. Songjezo Tshabangu, whose recent political tweet has left us wondering if he's auditioning for the role of Zimbabwe's chief praise singer. His latest love letter to President Mnangagwa, dripping with admiration for the deferment of elections until 2030, deserves nothing short of a public unwrapping. And believe us, we're here for it. So buckle up and let's dive into this mess. Tshabangu's statement suggests that delaying elections will magically bridge the gap between the ruling party and the opposition. What an inspiring fantasy. If we didn't know better, we might think Zimbabwe was about to enter a new golden age of unity. But let's get real. What gap is he talking about? There is no gap being bridged, unless he means the gap between the rich and the poor that keeps widening every day under ZANU-PF's watch. Mnangagwa, the master of political repression, has done more to divide this country than bring it together.
Okay.
So we've just noted the bail judgment, the magistrate's court, which granted bail to all 26 accused persons. As the CCC, we reiterate that this confirms that the arrest was an abusive process in the first place. This was a clear example of ZANU-PF abusing state institutions to try and disrupt a CCC meeting. If you listen closely to the ruling, what was criminalized is saying Gaphinde Hakem Komana at Honorable Machingauta's house. Now everybody, even a first-year law student knows that it's everybody's constitutional right to saying Gaphinde Hakem Komana. The CCC, we're not ever going to stop saying Ngaphinde Hakem Komana because Section 67 of the Constitution gives us the right to challenge the government. That should never be criminalized. What explanation is there for the fact that someone who's over 80 years old, elderly men, elderly women are brought before the courts? 13 of the accused persons were women. One of them was a minor girl child. All of this shows that the regime's paranoia has reached fever pitch. They know that they're staring defeat in the face for 2023, and they're trying to do everything they can to disrupt our meetings. But we're going to go ahead. Even when we spoke to Sekrune Sambo today, he's more energized than ever. All of the accused persons, we will not be intimidated or harassed. As the CCC, we continue to say that we want elections. We don't want war. We want peace. We don't want political violence. We don't want this business of police officers bringing 4 lorries, right-armed police to someone's house. There's no explanation, no apology for the fact that they beat up Honorable Machingauta's wife and his daughter. All of that should never happen in a constitutional democracy. Under a CCC government, every political party, even ZANU-PF when it's the opposition, will have the right to campaign freely because that's what we believe Zimbabwe should be. A constitutional democracy. Yes, they should come out today. But I think it must be borne in mind that this is not an isolated abuse of office and abuse of state institutions. We still have Honorable Job Sikala, who's being unconstitutionally held, and we continue to demand his release. The court today noted that bail is a constitutional entitlement. We don't know why Honorable Job Sikala should have a different law applying to him. Why?
From arresting opposition leaders to silencing dissent with a brutality that makes colonial tactics seem tame, his administration has consistently shown disdain for democratic principles. If unity was truly on the agenda, we'd see reforms, justice for victims of political violence, and an open dialogue, not some backroom maneuver to scrap elections and tighten the regime's grip on power. Tshabangu's talk of bridging gaps is about as believable as a pothole filling itself. Then comes the claim that deferring elections will save money. Ah, the sweet sound of fiscal responsibility, except it's coming from a government that couldn't balance a budget if their lives depended on it. Let's be honest, when has ZANU-PF ever cared about saving money for the people? We've watched as ministers cruised around in luxury cars worth millions while hospitals lack basic equipment. We've seen endless foreign junkets where officials spend lavishly on themselves while ordinary Zimbabweans scramble for a meal. If saving money was truly a priority, we'd be cutting down on corruption and wastage, not suspending democratic processes. Elections, however costly, are investments in the future of a nation. They provide accountability, transparency, and a chance for change. Delaying them to save money is like skipping a fire drill to save on the cost of a whistle. It's short-sighted and dangerous. And then there's the talk of development. According to Tshabangu, skipping elections until 2030 will somehow propel Zimbabwe into an era of progress. Really? Which version of Zimbabwe is he living in? Delaying elections won't develop anything except the bank accounts of those already plundering the economy. Real development comes from responsible governance and policies that prioritize people's needs. It comes from innovation driven by competition, where leaders know they must deliver results or face the wrath of the ballot box. By removing that pressure, we're essentially giving our rulers a blank check to continue failing with impunity. Development doesn't happen when power is hoarded by the same corrupt elite. It happens when fresh ideas and diverse voices are given a chance to lead. Tshabangu's logic here is like trying to plant crops by turning off the rain, completely backward. Let's not forget who Tshabangu is in this story. He's a man who owes his seat in parliament to Nelson Chamisa's popularity. If it weren't for the CCC wave that swept across the country, he'd likely be out of politics altogether. His sudden enthusiasm for term extensions reeks of self-interest. It's not about saving the nation, it's about saving his own political skin. He knows that facing the electorate again without Chamisa's coattails would be a disaster. So instead of preparing for real competition, he's jumping on the term extension bandwagon, hoping to secure an easy ride for another 5 years. This isn't leadership, it's cowardice, wrapped in political opportunism. And what about the rest of Parliament? If this term extension gets approved, it won't just be Mnangagwa staying put. Every MP who votes for it will be doing so with their own selfish motives in mind. They'll trade democratic principles for job security while the people they claim to represent continue to suffer. Extending terms is a betrayal of public trust. It's like a chef deciding to extend a dinner service indefinitely without cooking any food. Only the privileged few in the kitchen benefit, while the diners go hungry. Now, let's talk about the real cost of deferring elections. It goes far beyond dollars and cents. It's a direct attack on democracy and constitutionalism. Our Constitution isn't a suggestion box that politicians can dip into when it suits them. It's the foundation of our rights and freedoms. When we allow leaders to toy with it for political convenience, we weaken the entire structure of governance. Regular elections aren't just procedural, they are the heartbeat of a healthy democracy. They remind politicians that their power comes from the people. Remove them, and you remove the people's power. It's that simple. Fellow Zimbabweans, make no mistake, this push to defer elections is a dangerous precedent. It postpones the future we deserve while ZANU-PF and its enablers raid what's left of the economy. It stifles competition, creativity, and accountability. It keeps us trapped under a system that works for the few while failing the many. So the next time a politician tells you that suspending democracy is good for the nation, remember, it's only good for them. Stay tuned to Zimwaves TV, where we'll keep exposing the truth and reminding you that power belongs to the people, not to the puppets of tyranny. Stay informed, stay engaged, and always fight for your rights, because democracy doesn't protect itself. We do.